Well, I first saw the original event, the 1990 advertised. So the idea of somebody who passed their test on a Mini and loved the Michael Caine film, driving down to Italy and back in a Mini with some mates and hopefully a lot of like-minded people was fascinating. Loved anything to do with the Michael Caine film, and the idea of going to Trento, as it was then in northern Italy, with some mates, being able to drive down through Europe over a couple of days. Didn't know what was in store for us down there, but we'd been promised 2 days of interesting events down there, and then back again to the UK. So when it first started, there'd been a few years of the Beaujolais run to France, bringing the wine back. So the idea was to bring back the Novello, so the first Italian wine of the season. So that was part of it then, and rushing the Mini back with the wine in tow back to the UK. Anybody considering doing the event for the first time, I wouldn't have any concerns about it. And the strapline, raising money for children's charities in a fun way. And there's so many different ways of having fun. Because we've got people on the event who are dyed in the wool classic Mini fans and enjoy the challenge still of taking an older Mini down to Italy and back. But obviously since 2000, we've had the new Minis as well. And it's a fantastic driving holiday in one of the new Minis. Something like 50-50 these days with people with modern Minis, other cars related to the film, and the modern equivalents of those cars. We've also had Lamborghini Miura come on, the original red Mini from the film, people in Land Rovers, some of them in blue boiler suits and baseball bats. But the event's just so many things. So people who enjoy a motoring holiday, people who want to experience Italy with all of the wonderful scenery, the towns, the food and Italian wine, the hospitality is fantastic. And the people who've done the event for a long time, often new people mingling in, it's hard to remember that some people are the first time there and others have been there on a few runs. So it's not cliquey. People who want to come along and have fun. There's people to talk to about cars. There's people to talk to about Italian food, the scenery. Julia gets us into places that really money can't buy. So, one that amazed me was we were just heading through the countryside in Italy once, and suddenly there was one of the organizers with a red hat waving us into a farm. And in the farm, there were two big sheds, and they split the group into two. And in one shed, there was a demonstration of how the family made Parmesan cheese. There are huge wheels of maturing Parmesan there. And I was part of that group. And as we walked across the courtyard to the other shed, we had the people coming the other way going, I don't know what yours was, but this one's amazing. And we thought, well, we've just been in the amazing one. So what are you guys talking about? Got to the other shed, and it was the family's private Maserati collection. So we had a combination of how you make Parmesan cheese and a collection that's not open to the public. I don't know how Julia found it, but just amazing. So, every year there's something that's jaw-dropping. I think when you get the Brits abroad, we find all sorts of things to amuse ourselves with. So, where we have dozens of cars getting confused on a set route, and they say, well, rule one is don't follow the car in front of you, and rule two is definitely don't follow the car in front of you. Lots happens on the planned side of things, but then with us all staying, in the same hotels and having lunch together, there's a lot of banter, whether it's about cars, whether it's about people who've got to know each other, welcoming new people in with some stories of, what we've been doing. So, over the years, there've been a lot of silliness, but an awful lot of fun. I think fun keeps recurring about the event because it's great fun to do. There can be some fairly early starts, but then getting out there and getting going with the other Minis, the thrill of cars leaving every 30 seconds. So when you're out there, you're on the road with like-minded people, experiencing that part of the event with you. But then lunch breaks with a decent time period to them, and often finishing after lunch with the half day at leisure to go and experience what's going on with the local towns. The other two parts for me are, because it's set when you need to first be in Italy and when it finishes in Italy. Before that, you can either go straight down from the tunnel or the ferry, whichever we're using, and get there quickly, or you can go off piste like we did once, where we went as far as Berlin and Prague. And then there's the service van route. So typically heading down with 2 overnight stops with the service van in interesting hotels like the Dorint at the Nürburgring. So a bit of time to check out the museum at the Dorint, staying in the middle of places like Munich, or people pick their own route either down there or back and can take longer to do it. So you know, we have the advantage of people who are interested in, you know, because it's such a great charity, Buttle UK, you know, once we've explained to them what Buttle does, they're more than happy to get involved. Some, yes, they'd love to have a sticker on the Mini and the photos of the Mini in photogenic, scenic places. Others are just happy to make the donation. But, you know, we know a lot of people who, you know, aren't in business in a situation where they can talk to their own suppliers and customers. And some people put in the legwork in their local town. You know, they talk to the local pub, the local garage. A lot of people are interested in supporting a charity once Buttle UK has been explained to them. And people who don't feel that's what they want to do, raise money through friends and family and other people, organising raffles. There's John Spriggs, who does a fantastic event once a year, taking minis to Goodwood. And so 100 plus minis will spend a day at Goodwood. And then John raises a huge amount of money through doing that. Other people will have a local film night. You know, they'll talk to a local pub or a farmer with a field, you know, put up a big screen and invite people into, well, funnily enough, watch The Italian Job or something else. You know, and people, though, they then have other great ideas about what they can do with local fundraising, whether it's a raffle or something else. So, and the organisers, you know, now they've run The Italian Job for 30 plus years. You know, there were so many people who've been on the event and found, you know, either more standard or really innovative ways of fundraising. You know, that there's lots of advice that the event and regular jobbers can give other people to, you know, help them fundraise. I and a few others, you know, we love to go off piste, whether we're heading down to Italy or if we have some free time down there or on the way back. So on the way down, you know, we've done a lot over the years. So we've paid our respects at places like Tyncott and Menin Gate from, you know, the First World War battlefields. We go to motor racing tracks on the way down, always with one eye on which Alpine Pass, you know, we think we can include in it. So we can take, you know, the minis up into the thin October and November air. When we're parked at the top of somewhere like the Stelvio Pass, having a pizza outside with snow on the ground, you know, those come into the best memories. There's an expectation that people who enter the event, their vehicle's serviceable in the first place, which I think is fair. So Gareth and Paul will have a large van full of a wide variety of parts, you know, usually for classic minis, but other things as well. So if you're taking something that's got an unusual build, let them know beforehand, and they'll even have a chat with you so to cover off anything that might be, you know, out of the norm. So the guys fix all kinds of things. Our Mini was overheating one year in Orvieto, and we had to be in Rome for the police convoy a couple of hours later. So they met me in the service station just after Orvieto. The guys were having their breakfast in the car park. Coolest guys you'll ever meet. And they fixed a switch that meant that when the ignition went off, the radiator would keep running, so my Mini wouldn't boil over until they could fix it properly in Rome. So there's running repairs and more major things. So providing you've looked after your Mini, had it properly serviced before we go, when we all meet up in Italy, the part of the first day is scrutineering, where they look over your Mini, make sure all the standards, the lights, etc., are all working properly, so they know that you bought a robust Mini, and then if something happens, they are fantastic at fixing it. You have to want to fundraise. I think that's really important, because that is what the event is about. And I think rightly the organisers say, try to raise a certain amount, because it isn't like one of these events where you have to do it, but I think you have to have the motivation to want to help out, because, you know, we're all keen to make sure that each year we're supporting Buttle UK because they do such great work. It is inevitably a lot of driving because it's Italy and back, so you need to, you know, factor that in, that it is a driving holiday. You know, if you take a classic Mini, Obviously, it's that bit smaller. Interesting how you pack everything in for a couple of people. And the chance, I wouldn't say the probability, but the chance that there might be something that happens to the Mini. But then if you've got a classic Mini in the first place, you know that. If you've got a modern Mini or a modern Fiat equivalent from the film, it's a fantastic motoring holiday. You know, you're less likely to have any interruptions from the car. But then the classic Minis, you know, they're such head turners that if you're in a modern Mini with the classics, you know, you're part of seeing everybody's reaction to all of these cars stickered up, heading through the towns, you know, then getting the police convoys in places like Turin. You know, it's just a fantastic experience. So yes, there's driving involved. Yes, you ought to be fundraising, but then beyond that, it's a fantastic holiday in great hotels with great food, banter, and you know, there's so many different things with the, you know, whether you're a Mini nut or an Italian food nut, or you want to see the scenery, or there's somewhere between here and Italy that you've always wanted to see. You know, there were so many different aspects that people do it for a wide variety of reasons. There's two types of it really. So sometimes it will be fixed start, so you'll be told the night before that, you know, your car won and the first off is 8:30 in the morning, and so car 2 goes 30 seconds later, car 3 goes 30 seconds after that. So sometimes there's a wire where you're timed on the way out, but then you're given plenty of time to get to wherever the other end is. So it's designed that it's a planned route, but it's a planned route where you can see beautiful scenery, go to interesting places, have time to stop off for a coffee on the way, but then go over the line at the end at the absolute right time as well. Or there were penalty points, and some people will do anything to avoid a penalty point, and other people just don't care. And most people are somewhere in between the two. And then sometimes it will be a planned route, but there won't actually be, you know, a formal start time with penalty points. There might be some questions en route, or we'll go somewhere and there'll be a question and answer session. So some are more timed and rigorous than others. There's a variety of them, but it really is up to people, you know, whether they want to have fun by getting the most penalty points, or they want to, you know, actually try to be in the top 1, 2, or 3 by not getting penalty points. And that's all fine. You know, it's a fun event. So it's the opportunity to compete if you want to, or the opportunity to be there and watch others compete and, you know, scoff at your own scores if you prefer. In terms of the money can't buy additions and surprise events that we get as part of the event, yes, there's the planned routes, but then we'll find ourselves turning up somewhere like Imola, where there'll be a special stage in the car park, crushing cones. Not crushing cones, actually crushing cups, which is the point. Don't crush a cone, you'll ruin your car. And then after that, and in convoy, we're let out onto the actual track at Imola and do a few parade laps there, which is just fantastic fun. We've done that at Monza, and we've done that at Vallelunga. So the Italian job has been out on, you know, multiple Grand Prix circuits and other circuits down in Italy, or taken into interesting towns where we get to park in fascinating places. So places you wouldn't be able to go elsewhere. And a lot of them are to do with the Italian job films. So we visited the villa, we visited some of the squares that are featured in the original film. So we get to do that. Country houses, and coming down through France or through Germany, you know, going to be hosted by BMW in Munich was one of the highlights for a lot of people. So we get to go to a wide variety of places. So for the people who want to get out on the tracks, you know, yes, there are track days, but you don't often have it to yourselves. So if that's something that people really want to do, you know, the experience of going around an Imola, you know, it's so memorable, and people video it. And you know, the event has a YouTube channel, so some of the videos are on there showing what's happened in previous years. There's a growing Flickr account for the event that has a whole load of still photography from various years of the event. So there's lots of places that people can check out what the Italian job is all about. On Facebook is another option. And if you want to ask people questions, what it's like on the event, you know, get onto one of the social networks, and there'll be a whole load of people more than happy to help. You know, equally, if you are coming along for the first time and you want someone to help you plan a route, lots of us go year on year, and we're delighted to share our experiences and help other people.